may have seen, here we go. You may have seen an email come from us in the last couple of days. We were curious about who you are, what course you are teaching, and what type of course you're teaching and what your role is. And so we have about a little more than half of people here and online who are teaching in person, and about the other half split between hybrid or fully online courses. The majority of people seem to be TAs, maybe a couple of GAs, and then some faculty or instructors. Is there anything else demographically that is different than anything up here? Anybody teaching? I don't know what else would be another type of course, but doctoral teaching. Okay. And you're the primary instructor for the course. Yep, I would consider you faculty / instructor. Yep. Yeah. So we also asked you about the different features that you are going to be using in Canvas in your in the course that you are TAing for or that you're teaching. So the primary ones that we found out from you guys was that you'll be needing work on grading using SpeedGrader, assignments, communication, and also quizzes. So we are definitely going to cover all those. Those are going to be our priorities based on the feedback from you guys and from running this camp previously, and kind of the primary areas that, that TAs tend to help out with. If you have any other areas that are listed here, then please let us know, but we'll also cover, we are going to go over content creation, discussion boards, and we'll go over some multimedia as well. So we'll kind of try and make our way through all of these topics. And towards the end, if you have other topics, or just feel free to raise your hand as we go along. If you have anything else, we can try to have time to address that at the end. We might also address it individually after we're finished. And I believe Braden is also recording this as well. So if you wanted to watch this later, we'll send out the recording, and you can relive the fun all over again. Whoops. So we are going to hit up some of the biggies. We'll start with assignments and discussions. We'll go through the grade book and all the features that are in that, plus SpeedGrader. And we'll go through quizzes. We're also going to talk about communication practices. That would be announcements and the Canvas inbox. We do want to allow for just a quick break for you guys too, to get up, stretch your legs, and then we will we'll also be doing creating content and web conferences and multimedia. I'll also highlight, and I'll probably do this earlier in the program, but we'll highlight all the support and resources that you have available to you, and that you can also direct your students to if they're encountering any technical difficulties in Canvas during the semester. So with that, I'm going to jump into Canvas. Here we go. All right, so let's jump right into assignments. The way that I'm going to go through this is I'm going to show you assignments that are already built. We'll kind of go in that back end, see what they look like, see those different features that you can play with. And then after we do that with assignments and discussions and quizzes, we'll later on in the creating content part, we'll see like how do we start from scratch. If you're building an assignment or a discussion from scratch, we'll kind of look at that later. So this should sort of look like a course that you have in Canvas. Has everyone been in Canvas at least at some point before, as a student previously? Okay. So as an instructor or a TA, you're going to see some different options. So we're going to jump into modules. And I'm going to go click on an assignment that I already have created. This is a critical thinking assignment here, this first one. So when I click on that, you know as a student probably that here's all of your the information about the assignment, and then you usually have an option to upload. You now have an option with an edit button here. This is on the top right hand side. So when you click on that edit button, now you can edit the assignment. So in this first box here, this is where you can edit assignment instructions. You have a rich content editor, sort of like a word processor to some extent. You have all the different options available to you. You have some other more kind of multimedia options like, let's see, recording a video right within Canvas, importing a video from YouTube and embedding it, different things like that. Down below this area is where you see some of these assignment options. So how many points is the assignment worth? You can have assignment groups. That's something you can set up. We can talk about that later if anyone's interested, but it defaults to just, we're in an assignment, it's an assignment group. You typically will be displaying your assignments as points, I would guess. That's kind of what most instructors are doing. You also have the ability to do a percentage or perhaps just a not graded, an ungraded assignment. And we also have a submission type. So for those people with in-person classes, do you know or think yet that your assignments will be handed in on paper in class or online?
Online.
Online. Perfect. That's what we like to hear. It makes it easier for everybody. So even though you have that, you are in person with your class, your submission type is going to be online. And then you have some different options here. We have just a text entry. If they can just, students can enter text, just a website URL if that's something they're providing, uploading a media recording. Typically, like an assignment, a paper, or something like that, you're gonna have a file upload. You can usually also select both. You know, you can type your answer in the text entry or in a file upload. The file upload also gives you an option when you select that box to restrict upload file types. If you have a special file type unique to your program or discipline, what you're using, like a tool or software program, that's something you can allow here. What you can do also though is allow for only say Word documents or PDFs, or maybe you just want a PDF. So you'll type in the extension .pdf. Maybe I also want to include Word docs. I'll do a .doc, and I know that people also have a .docx. So that's an option for you if you don't want to receive maybe file types that you can't open. You also don't have to select this at all. Yeah.
You have to put the period. I'm just looking at the assignment that the professor I'm working with is not with the period. Is that going to screw it up?
You know what? This example right here does not have that. So I'm going to say no, you probably don't need it. Would that be correct, Braden?
It's either or.
Okay.
Okay, so it works both ways.
It ignores all periods into it. So the comma you do have to put.
If you or your instructor are interested in using Turnitin, this is where you would enable that for this assignment. So there's other options here. We can go through just a few of these. You and the student can see the report from that Turnitin. It just kind of automatically pops up, and I'll show you that in SpeedGrader. It'll show what the score is from Turnitin, and if you wanted to, you can drill down and start seeing more details about that score. But this is where you would turn that in, or turn that feature on for this assignment. We have an option for a group assignment. It's usually groups are done more, let's see, typically like discussions, right? So you might have smaller groups for discussions, and I might go more into that then. This is actually an assignment that I've already played with it, and so it's not letting me select the group assignment. If it's a group assignment, you can click this, and then you have some other options that we can go through. Looks very similar to discussions when we go through that. Peer reviews. A whole different animal that we could spend an hour talking about in itself. A couple different ways you can do peer reviews. If you wanted to do have students trade papers and look at them. You can do it through Canvas. There's some different nuances to it. If you're super interested in it, let me know afterwards and we can talk through some of those options. I can also send you some guides on how to use it. It can be super easy for, it can make things really easy for you and the instructor. It can also be a little tricky just on how you set it up, which is just something we can talk through. You can do peer reviews though, kind of on your own outside. Say, you know, here, like put your assignment in Google Docs, you know, here's your partner, go ahead and go in, take a look. There's a whole different way, a lot of different ways you can manage that. It doesn't have to be through Canvas. So down here at the bottom is where we have our due dates. So I have our a due date here, available from and available until. You do not have to fill in these fields. What those mean is they're the visibility of the assignment itself. If I don't want students to see this assignment until maybe a week before it's due, then I'll put that date in there. Also, if I want to lock it up at a certain time, so after the due date, students will still be able to submit assignments and you can see they're flagged as being late. However, if you want students to not be able to submit anything at all after the due date, that's when we'll put a date in here. And maybe that's a week after the due date. See, I don't want anyone to be able to submit anything after the following week. So you can put these options in here, but you don't have to. If you don't put them in there, then it's the student can see it as soon as you publish the assignment, and they can submit late assignments after that until you cut it off. Any questions on kind of this back end of an assignment and these options? Good, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and click save on my assignment. One important thing to notice on the top right-hand side is this publish button. So right now you can see it's green. So this assignment is published. All you gotta do is, well, I have students who've submitted assignments. I can't unpublish it. If you need to unpublish it, you just click that button. So let's go ahead back into our modules. And let's go into a discussion that I have. So we click on the discussion. You have that edit button again on the top right-hand side. And you're gonna see the discussions and the assignments on this back end look pretty similar with a few different options. So you have your rich text editor here again, where you can put your assignment description, and you can add anything else you'd like. You can attach a file, add any multimedia you'd like. And here are some of our options. First option here, allow threaded replies. That is by default unchecked. However, I really like clicking this option. This is where you're gonna have the nested replies. So when someone replies, it kind of, you know, starts to indent it, like kind of kicks it as like, I know this person's replying to this top discussion post up here, versus having every single post and reply, so just stacked on top of each other. So I do recommend selecting that box to allow threaded replies. You have the option, yeah.
Sorry, so you said by default that's not selected?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I wish by default it was, because I think it's, I don't know, maybe others that feel different. I think it's easier that way for you to follow the discussion. The second option there, users must post before seeing replies. Definitely an option for you to use. One thing that we've seen, and maybe, you know, you guys are all students and have been students as well, is that there is the kind of loophole where a student can type like a letter, submit it, then they can see everything, and then they can go back and delete their discussion or their post that didn't have anything in it. So there are loopholes that people get around, but just something to be aware of.
previous submission for that person? Can you do that?
Not if they delete their discussion. Assignments, yes. Discussions, no. You will not be able to see if someone deleted their assignment. The only way you might see it is if you have your notifications set up to instantly receive that, like an email or notification that someone posted it, you'll have that email. So it kind of depends on maybe how your notifications are set up.
Workarounds, stop that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's see, did you have another question? Okay. Let's see. Enable podcast feed. I've never actually used that because what it does is allow someone to take this discussion and put it like as a podcast, which only works with audio. So I've never used that. Graded. Defaulted, yes, this is a graded discussion. You could make this an ungraded discussion. Allow liking. I started doing that. It's kind of fun. It's just like a little Facebook thumbs up thing that people can, just like the discussion post. So group discussion. So this, I'm sorry. No questions. Okay. This is looking very similar again now to the backside of those assignments. So I'm going to click on a group discussion. And I'm going to select a group set. So this is assuming that I've already set up my group sets. And a group set is different than a group itself. The group set is the category. Let's say this, for this discussion here, this is my interpreting poetry discussion. And I want specific groups just for this. My interpreting discussion poetry is like the group, or interpreting poetry is like the group set. And then I'm going to have my different groups under that category. So you can see it asks me to select a group set. And so I'm going to select that group. And now it's going to then, each small group can only see their own discussion board. Does that make sense? And I can go into groups in a minute too, if you want to see that. If you haven't set your groups up yet, you can do that here. I think it's easier to do it through the People tab, which I can go over in a minute if anyone is interested in groups. Maybe by raise of hands, like, is anyone interested in using small group discussions or assignments? Okay, then we'll just skip it. Maybe someone online?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Okay. I might speed through that in just a minute when we're done with discussions. So here's where we do our points. Again, we have our options of displaying our points in a different way. Let's see, an assignment group again. None of this is like super, assignment groups are not super important unless your instructor, you have sort of organized your assignments in a certain way. I don't know that I've ever seen anyone use peer reviews on a discussion. If you're going to use peer reviews, typically it's an assignment, right? We have papers that we're sharing. So, and then here at the bottom again, we have this same option again. So one thing I forgot to mention when when we were looking at assignments, this assign to, of course, so by default, this is assigned to everyone in the class. Again, this is different than the group part. No matter if you even have groups, this will all still be assigned to everyone. One thing to pay attention to is if you have a student who needs to turn in an assignment late or participate in a discussion late, and they have maybe an approved, you've already talked to them, it's okay to turn it in late, they had a medical issue or something come up. So you are going to, with this very bottom button that says add, with this plus button, we're going to add an option here. I'm going to assign it to a single student. So I'm going to choose Kate Miller here. She's a student I've worked with and is allowed to turn in this or participate in this discussion late or turn in the assignment late. I'm going to give her a separate due date. So what that does on her end, she still gets assigned the same discussion or assignment. And when she does complete it, is not going to flag it as being late as long as she's done it before her own due date.
How did you pull that assignment, because it's not showing up on mine?
How did I pull?
It goes from group discussion and then available from until, and then there's nothing else on it.
You don't have a button?
Have you selected graded?
Yeah.
So the question that was asked for those online is she wasn't seeing the assign to option. In discussion boards, only way that you see that assigned to and the grading information is if you've selected the grading option.
Right. Yeah, that, as you can see too, you unselect that and that really limits your, your options there. Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah.
Since you extended the due date for that submit, can you open the earlier for them as well? The assignment? Because what if they wanted to complete the assignment?
If you want to do it earlier.
Yeah, then everyone else. Because
That's a great question. So let's say everyone else can only see it starting on this day, but I want Kate to be able to see it. Let's see, let's do her. And she has available from like an earlier date. I would think that yes, only Kate could see that assignment at this date that I've selected, and for everyone else, it's hidden. Is that what you would assume? Because we have the option. And you also have the option for the until date, right? So if I want to lock it up for everyone at a certain date, I can lock it up for her later. Yeah.
Correct. The assigned to or the different one will give a different due date and an available to and from range to that person. So if you do an assigned to for someone that has an accessibility request and you don't do an available from and until range, it'll be wide open for them. So that's why you want to make sure that you add that in there. If you've added to them, it's just you're adjusting it based off that accessibility request.
And if this is an assignment that it's super important that no one sees it ahead of time, but this one student can. I think you just want to maybe in the back of your mind think, students talk and work together, and they, she might be working with some others in the class and might be able to show it to them. So it's just something to think about, and that's more of the gets to the thinking and talking through why are we limiting it at the beginning, and does it make sense to do so?
And a question that I got online is about how you can turn it in after the assignment is late. So if you don't have the until date and someone turns it in past the due date, it'll simply mark it in the grade book, this assignment was turned in at this time late. If you do the until and you put a date in there, even if they do turn in late, if it's past that until date, they will not be able to turn anything in.
Yeah. Depending on how you structure your course and how you move through it, I can only really see this until date being used maybe towards the end of the semester, right? We're in the last week of class and you literally just can't accept something past when the class is ended. So let's lock it up there, and that might be a strategy for using that until date. So assignments and discussions look pretty similar on the back side. Any questions before we go on to quizzes? Good. All right. Anything online there? Okay. So I'm going to go into my quiz that I already have built here in the module, and we'll go in the back end. So I again have at the top right hand side, I have this edit button. Now quizzes are going to look a little bit different than here. So you see that we have, when we get into our editing of our quiz, we have 3 different tabs. We're going to use these 2 tabs, details and questions. Don't pay attention to mastery paths unless it's something you and your instructor have been working on. It goes into outcomes and tracking outcomes and using rubrics and all sorts of lovely things. So we'll work on the details of the quiz and we'll work on the questions. So this first page here is just your overall quiz details. We're not into the questions yet. We have our name of the quiz up here. We have our similar content editor box here that you can use. That is pretty standard on any content that you create. We have our quiz type. You can allow practice quizzes. This is going to default to being a graded quiz. You can do a graded survey. That's going to allow you to survey students and they'll get a grade just for completing it. None of the questions are actually graded. It's just you've done it, and so you get 10 points for doing it. Ungraded survey. This is a really good option if you are wanting to do maybe a pre-course survey to kind of get an assessment of where students are at, a mid-course check-in, you know, hey, let me know any feedback, what's going on. That's a good option for those, for an ungraded survey. I'm going to leave it as a graded quiz right now. So a couple options here. We can shuffle answers, and that is just answers, not questions, but it's going to take a multiple choice and it's going to just shuffle those answers around. We have our
student to student, or
yes, right, yeah, from student to student. I would, yeah, almost like if you have, you know, when you have like paper copies and different versions of it. Yeah. You can set a time limit on it if you want students to complete this within multiple attempts. And then we have some different options if you want to allow multiple attempts. You can keep the highest score, just the latest attempt, or you can keep the average of all of them. And then we can let the students know how many attempts they can actually have. Okay, other options, letting students see their quiz responses. So we can let them see their response there, and this is their own, hold on, I have to remember, okay. This is just letting them see their own answers, not the actual correct ones yet. So these first two options, letting them see their own responses, maybe after their latest attempt. Then we have the option, can they see the correct answers? If we want them to see that, then we have some options. Maybe they're allowed to see that after their last attempt, or maybe they're only allowed to see the correct answers after a certain date. So that would be my recommendation, right? If we let them see it earlier, then of course students can kind of trade and see and, you know, kind of see what's going on and share quiz answers. So maybe the correct answers are shown to them after the quiz is actually closed and locked down. You have the option to show one question at a time, or otherwise it's, you know, we kind of scroll through the questions as they go down. Just that's personal preference. Let's see, lock questions after answering. They answer it, they can't go back. That's what that option would be. You have some quiz restrictions. You can require an access code. Filtering IP addresses sounds super complicated to me. And again, we have the option for assigning it to everyone. We have the due date of available from, available until, and then we have the option again to add any additional if students need extra time. If they, or not time is actually done in a different section here. I can show you that. But if we need a student who needs an extension on the deadline. Yeah.
So yes, would you show if a student needs double the amount of time or?
Yep, so that is in, hold on. I'm gonna go ahead and save. So we're gonna save our quiz. So on the right-hand side here, you see moderate this quiz. So we're gonna click on that. This is where you can give students extra time if they need it. And that is, or different attempts. So you have this option. So on the right, whoops. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. On the right-hand side here for each student, you have a little pencil that you can edit. So for this one student, I can give him more attempts and I can give him extra time. And that's where you would moderate that. And then deadline is done on that deadline section. Questions so far just about setting up your quiz? Good. All right, let's go back to my example quiz. I'm gonna go to edit again. So now,
Can you go ahead and show where that moderate page is one more time?
Yeah. You cancel out of this. So I'll just go right from the modules. Right when you click on your quiz, it's on this right-hand side where these, you see quiz statistics, moderate this quiz, and speed grader. So that's, this is where you see moderate the quiz, is on the right-hand side. So when we click on our edit button again, now we're gonna go into the tab that says questions. All right, so here's our quiz questions. So right now they're sort of condensed. And you just see like, okay, each question. I can scroll through pretty quick and see the questions. I can click on show question details. Now I'm able to see what this is looking like. So these are all my questions so far, and I'm gonna just go ahead and add a brand new question, and you'll see all these options. I'm gonna add a new question. I do want to highlight this next option over, and I'm at the very bottom here for anyone online following. New question group. What this is, you know, when you have, if you ever done an essay question test and you have maybe 3 options, you get to pick which question you answer. That's this one. So that it's a group, and Canvas then knows the student only needs to answer 1 of these or 2 of them or something. That's how you'll set that up, is in that question group. For just doing a simple question, I'm gonna do a new question. This is probably gonna start to look familiar to you, your content editor here. So I have at the top of my question all of my options for different kinds of questions. Multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank, fill in multiple blanks, lots of different things. Quizzes are a great place to use the Canvas guides, which I will show you shortly. That's a support and resource feature from Canvas, because some of these can get a little complicated, like a formula question that's using these statistical numerical formulas, and you can integrate that into your quiz question, and luckily they have a nice little help button for you. So some of them can get complicated, so it's great to go back to the guides if you need help. So I'm going to set this up as a multiple choice question. You don't have to put your correct answer here. You move this around. Wait, hold on. Wait, you move it afterwards, Braden? She's laughing at me.
So yeah, you want to go through each of the answers and put your answers in first. So yellow, blue, gray, whatever example ones that you want to do. Once you have all of the correct answer and possible answers selected, then that's when you can select that arrow and move it to the different areas that you want.
That's right, you move the arrow.
It is important that you make sure that all of the possible answer blanks that you have open have a response in there. Otherwise, you want to delete it. Otherwise, it'll say, whoa, there's an error here and you can't save, and it's going to give you issues. So that's why that little extra step is there.
So if my correct answer is gray here, I'm going to just click. You can see how if you hover over, you have a new little green arrow that pops up. So that's where you select the correct answer. 2 important things to notice. Do not default to this save button at the bottom to save your question. Always update your question first. Then you can go to save. That's like saving your whole quiz. If you skip that update question button and you save it, that question is gone. So that's kind of the ins and outs of quizzes. Yeah.
And I saw, if you can go back into editing that question.
Yeah.
And at the bottom of your answers, there's green is correct, red is incorrect. So I assume that those little buttons would allow you to add a correct answer or an incorrect answer. And then there's a blue one. And I'm not,
Oh, comments.
oh, okay. So you can just have a comment on the
Yes.
bottom of the question.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if that's, general comments on, that's a really good question, Jim.
Yeah, that just displays, if you have options where they can go back and view their response, a student can go back later and see those general comments based on, did they just not answer it? Did they answer it correctly or did they not? Most people don't, you just ignore that section and just put the comments on the actual correct answers.
You
Or
have
that,
these wrong answer comments.
Yeah.
So for every wrong answer, you could say, make sure and review chapter 2 again or something.
Right. Thank you.
Mhm.
so one of the questions I got online is about once you have a quiz that's been edited, they run into issues of going back and changing it, and that's correct. Canvas is going to fight you if you go back and publish a quiz and students have taken your quiz and you go in and try to edit it. It's going to go, whoa, 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 someone's already taken the score, why are you changing it? So it's very important that anytime that you need to go through and make a change, you do it before students have taken it, before it is published. And then you also want to make sure that you always go back and make sure you update the question and save it. I mix up on that all the time. And another question that was answered was, how do points get associated with overall of your quiz? Each individual question can have its own separate point value. So in the example here, we actually have an essay question that's worth 16 points, where the other multiple choice answers are worth 1 point. And Canvas will automatically score this, except for the essay questions, which have to be manually scored. But the point values are added to each question, and then that'll show you the total value of the quiz when you go back to the edit page, and it shows how many points are available in this.
Yeah, thank you for that, because I totally forgot to go through the points here. So right when you create that new quiz question, your point value is over here on the right-hand side. And so you can go ahead and change the points. And just like Braden said, and I'm going to go ahead and, let's see. So all of these, basically every question type except for the essay questions are going to be graded automatically. The essays will have to be graded by you. Students will see that, so they will not receive a score on their quiz, and they'll have a little notification there that says that the quiz has not been finished, hasn't been scored yet. And so they'll have a notification, and once you go in and finish grading those essay questions, then you'll be able to, they can finish
So
their
if you have
score.
like 50 questions, do I have to input one at a time? Or I can copy and paste?
You can copy and paste the content, right? So your actual question, yes, go ahead and paste your
So one
question
at a
right there.
time, in other words.
Yes, exactly.
You
It
can't
does.
really-
There's not really an easy way to bring in, if you have this whole quiz that's maybe in a Word document, or is that what it is, like a Word doc?
Well,
Or,
there's math questions, 50 questions.
Okay.
And there's some symbols and stuff like that. So we're time.
yeah.
And I wish we just copy and paste.
So here's, I have seen a workaround.
And for
Um,
those online, this question was
Oh, yeah.
about how to copy and paste essentially equations into Canvas.
One option I have seen, and it, especially for these instances where you do have a lot of those symbols, it's very specific to how you want it to look, and Canvas maybe doesn't quite play very nicely with that. One thing you could do, attach your, right, you can attach a file here, right, Brayden?
What I would actually say for equations is just take a screenshot of it and put the photo of the screenshot in the text box.
Right.
Because for each of the text boxes, you can put a photo in there, and they can actually select that and go from there. And that way you can use your software and make sure all the percentages and signs in the correct area. Canvas has an equation tool in there that you can use, but for some advanced calculations, it doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, I think I tried it. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
I can fully imagine. And so you could, in the details, what I was thinking of is maybe attaching the PDF of the quiz, and then you still have to build in, this is answer to question 1, answer to question 2, answer to question 3. Not super friendly, I know. And then Braden's suggestion of going to each individual question and then attaching here an image of that equation if it's not very user friendly to type it in. They do have, so in your rich text editor, you might want to play around with this option, insert math equation. So this, I would suggest playing around with this and seeing if that works for you. Maybe.
Yeah.
And so you can insert these things. I don't know. I'm just not. Yeah.
Yeah, there is an LTI that you can get, and we can go through, and it's a little bit better for equations. But math equations are kind of just a hard thing to where I just kind of say the screenshot's the easiest way to do it, and you can even do here's A, B, C, and D, and then in your answer ones you just say the answer is A, answer is B. And so everything is in that graphic that you need them to do, and then that can also be flashcards so you can send out to them. I got a couple more questions. One I'm going to answer because it's easy. Then I'm going to let you answer a hard one.
Okay.
So the first question is going to be, can quiz questions, especially essay questions, be graded with partial points? Yes. If you are doing an essay question on there, you do not have to give them the full value. You can say, well, they only answered half of it, so I'm going to give them 8 points. The number you put in there is whatever number you want to. You also could put in 100 points if you want, and they'll give them 100 points. It gives you a wide open option of what number you want to put in there. I would say for academic integrity, you want to put an honest score into it and not go crazy with it. The other question is, what if you want to have a setting where you want to have the correct answers shown after the due date, but you don't want to show the wrong questions after the due date? Is there a way to show one versus the other, or is it a complete no, you either have to choose not to show any responses? And that is after a student has taken the quiz and they've gotten the grade and it's after the due date, do they see whether or not they got right or wrong those response?
I think I can follow. Let me go back to the details of the quiz. So we want to say, okay, say that again. We want people to see the right answers, but they don't, but not.
So when they get the answer right, we want to let them see, yes, you got it right. The correct answer is this.
Okay.
But if they get it wrong, it
I
doesn't
want
show
to
them
see it.
that they didn't get it wrong and what the correct answer is.
I don't think so, because
And I think that's the right answer too. I think it's, you have to choose, do you want them to see the responses or do you not want to see the response? And if you're worried about plagiarism, I think it's one of those things you actually want to develop a quiz bank. And so you're asking one question multiple ways and different students are seeing different questions, even though it covers the same information. Their responses are all going to be different because it's going to be anonymized. Sort of.
Yeah.
Another question we got, can you copy quizzes from last semesters be copied over? Yes, we'll cover some course copy process, but if you are a teacher or a TA, I believe you have some of this ability. You can go back to any previous course that you were a teacher of and copy any course content and move it over to a current course. Some of this as a TA, you might have to work with your actual faculty to do, but it's a very simple and easy process.
So we're at 5 till 6. I know grading, so grading and speed grader was my next, for the next topic. You know, those are biggies now that we've kind of set up all of our assignments and everything. So do we want a very quick break or just power through to grading? I see power through.
Okay.
Power. All right. So couple ways to, you can access things a lot of different ways in Canvas and not a lot of different places. Let's go ahead and sorry, I went kind of fast on that. I'm going to go back into my home, just kind of my home screen here. I'm going to first go to the gradebook, just the gradebook itself. We'll kind of look at some of the options there. On your left-hand course navigation, you click on grades. And here is your grade book. So we have the students listed here, and then across we have our assignments. discussions, quizzes, all of the above. So let's go ahead into an assignment here. When you hover over an assignment, you have 3 little dots, and that's going to give you some different options here. Just sorting the gradebook in general. Serving grades, which is probably a bigger animal than we have time for as well. And then downloading submissions, different options you can play with. One of my absolute favorites though, message students who. If you have noticed that there's some students who have not submitted their assignment yet, or a group, you know, maybe students who, you know, there's a number of students who did pretty poorly on this exam or on this assignment. So let's go ahead and contact them. So what we're gonna do, we have options here. Message students who haven't submitted yet, haven't been graded yet, scored less than or scored more than. I'm gonna go ahead and just select haven't submitted yet. And I have one student here. If you have multiple students, so rest assured this sends one individual message to each student. They're not gonna know who else has also submitted late or got a poor score on it. So we have the subject here that we can edit. Let's see, I'm gonna go to haven't submitted yet. The subject gives me this kind of default, no submission for critical thinking assignment. That looks great to me. I can type a message then that says like, hey, I noticed that you haven't turned in your assignment yet. Just a reminder, the late policy is blah, blah, blah. You know, we can type a little message to them, sends a Canvas inbox message to them, each individual student that is selected here. That's my favorite feature of Gradebook. I think it's really helpful for keeping tabs on students and maybe just helping remind them in an easy way so that you don't have to really keep track yourself. So down in kind of going to each student here, you can give that student manually a score, just right here. You just type in the score, enter it in. You can do it right here. The other option is to go into SpeedGrader to do your grading. So that's going to be done. You just kind of hover over or pick a student here. And there's a little tiny arrow button on the right-hand side of that cell. That's going to open up that student. This is another place you can also see information about this student and this particular assignment. So you can see whether it was late, it was missing, or it was an excused. And that, yeah, so you can, you select that if you would like, and that can kind of help you keep track of different students. I can grade them right here, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on SpeedGrader. So, this is SpeedGrader. This is where the content of the student's assignment's gonna be. I'm gonna switch students. The top right-hand side, you have a drop-down that's gonna show you all of your students. I'm gonna go into Alex here. He submitted this paper. So I have a couple different things to point out. On the right-hand side here is where you're gonna be doing your feedback and grading. And then we have our assignment in here, and this is where I can do some markups. So let's start with the markups. I have lots of different options here on the top that you can do. You can kind of just add little points and leave comments, highlight text, or boxes, lots of different things to play with that you can kind of mess around with. And then we have on the right-hand side, this section here is where I can grade it. I have all the information of when this assignment was submitted. Here's my Turnitin score. So it's gonna, 6% is green, that's pretty good. You can drill down into that report then and see where it's gonna, oh sorry, that was, it downloaded the document. You can go and drill down into Turnitin and it'll give you that report and where those matches occurred. Let's see, I can, oh yeah, here's where I get the grade. Here's my assignment comments. So I can give my feedback here. you have a couple options here too. You can attach a file if you would like. Let's say you downloaded this document, made some markups, and then you want to re-upload it. This is where you could attach that track changes sort of a document to them. You can also record your own feedback instead of doing it by text. You can do a media comment, and that would record you giving some feedback. We also have speech recognition, which is not too bad. It doesn't do punctuation and all sorts of stuff, kind of like, you know, speech with a text message. Like, it's not super accurate for grammar, but that's an option as well. So I'll go ahead and submit this assignment. Okay, what if I don't want that student to see my grades right away? Maybe you confer with your instructor. Maybe you want to grade everyone first before they can see all of the feedback and the grades. So on the top left-hand side, you have this little eyeball there. I can hide the grades. So I'm going to hide grades. So this gives you all the information then on the right-hand side of what's going to happen if I hide these grades. And everything's basically hidden from the student. They'll see that it's hidden. They'll know that you're maybe in the process of grading. So I'm going to go ahead and hide. So now this little eyeball here has a cross through it. When I go back to the grade book, so on the very, very top left, that little gradebook icon, I can click there to get back into Canvas, into the gradebook. And we'll see that little icon there that the grade has is now hidden. So grades for that assignment are hidden. Questions? Yeah.
If a student submitted the Word document, that means you can comment, highlight, once they submit a PDF.
You can do the same thing. So, yeah, good question. PDFs, Word docs, text entry, images. Maybe someone submits an images, infographics, anything that they submit that is like of a visual nature. You can make comments and circle things and do all sorts of stuff in there.
Excel is buggy though. Sometimes it doesn't always display. So do keep in mind, if you do a multiple workbook Excel, it might not behave in SpeedGrader, so then you'll have to download the file and do the changes in that like old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
Two-part question.
Yeah.
One is that symbol under the second to last column in the blue there. Does that just mean it's been turned in but not graded?
Yes, and there, yeah, the color coding can be confused. Okay, so blue means it's late. Yeah, you have to keep track with all the colors. They change around in Canvas. So blue means that it's late, and I did not put this in. So this was an automatic thing that happened where then Canvas shows you how late, I mean, almost to the half day there, like how late this assignment was.
But the symbol itself?
Sorry. Yep. So that symbol, which is funny because this does have a grade. Usually that symbol would mean that there's a submission there, but that you haven't graded it yet. Can't really explain why there's a grade there. It could be that submission was submitted after I had put a grade in there.
And then the follow-up question is, of course I'm working on, we have a bunch of things that just need to be turned in that don't actually have point values.
Okay.
Is there a way where it's connected to an assignment, it's registering that as turned in but not graded? But in some cases, we'll have some things that won't be linked to an assignment that they will turn in. For instance, a sign-up sheet that's in a shared Excel sheet or a Google sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to just indicate on here that it's turned in without putting a score in it?
Yeah, so actually what I would do is, you still need that assignment itself. Creating an assignment creates that place in Canvas for someone to submit something, right? And what I would do is just give it a 0 point value. So it'll show, they have the spot to turn it into you on Canvas, and then you can kind of, I think, track it in a better way than email, probably. So then it shows up then. You'll still have an assignment here. It'll say 0. And then you can see, you'll have all of these icons. Like I can see who has turned it in and who hasn't.
Yeah, but in the case where it hasn't been set up so that we'll see it, I'll just go and put 0 and then do it.
Yeah, what it sounds like what I'm
Oh.
hearing, you just want to have a place in the grade book to show, yes, it was done. And so really what you're doing is you want to create an assignment where 0 points, and then you're going to go into the grade book and just put 0
Right.
all the way down. So
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt if someone doesn't do it or doesn't show up. It's just going to be blank. And then you put 0 because there's no points going on to the grade. And you're just creating that section for you.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, grading it as 0. Yep. Yeah.
So can you show you your comments on the assignments?
Yeah, great question. So, let's see. I am going to, for this,
And while Sarah's looking for that, I'm going to go ahead and follow up on a couple of questions that came in online. The best value of SpeedGrader is that it allows you to quickly view all the assignments quicker and do grading faster. So if you decide to use a rubric, everything is going to be on one page. So you can see the file, make comments to it, add the grade, fill out the rubric, and it's all done in one spot. And then there's a next button so you can get to the next student assignment. And so instead of having to click around everywhere in your gradebook, go back and forth between one student versus another student, SpeedGrader puts all of that into one spot. And so that's the real value that you get with that. And yes, rubrics are able to be used in here. That's going to be something, if you want to stick around till later on, we'll cover that. Or you can simply just send us an email and we'll be more than happy to show you the guides and give you a little bit more in depth about using rubrics. But that is definitely a great but a more advanced feature that takes more time than you guys want to spend here today.
I'll add that. So after today, we'll send you a follow-up email for everyone who attended, and we'll kind of include all of these links to those guides of like how to use a rubric and how to do peer reviews and all these lots of other things that are hard to cover in an hour and a half. So the question about students seeing the comments that you've made for them. So as a student, when they click on grades, this is what shows up for them. So they have their list of assignments that they see, and all of these the status, the score, what the full point total was. So this little green box here, that was their Turnitin score.
It's that little underscore.
That little guy, that's instructors working on grades. I mean, you guys probably know it's better than I do.
So that one is graded. The one with the green thing, that little icon there. Yeah, I think so.
Thank you. Click to test a different score. So that's the test function for students. It's like the what if. Like, what would my grade be if I...
The reason I'm asking is because I took a course with her. I probably was with her first. She did the grading, and I could see parts of the comments. And I wanted to download it. It was really good.
You couldn't figure out where it was.
And I could see that I missed the comments.
Okay. So for online, if you're following, we're trying to find where students see the comments that you give them from SpeedGrader.
Yes.
So let's go into... Gosh, I don't have anything submitted right here.
Just click on the title.
Yeah.
And then they'll have the rubric filled out there. And it'll
There we
show
go.
the SpeedGrader version.
Thank you. So these comments, so this is going to show, it's kind of that like a SpeedGrader light in a sense. The student's going to see their own submission right here. And then on the right-hand side, that kind of looks similar to the SpeedGrader, right? So they're going to see then the comments that the instructor made. This one is hidden right now, so you can't see any comments. And then this is where then a student gives comments back to you. They'll see your comments, and then they might add a comment back to you. It's also sort of difficult to find if you don't have notifications set up correctly, but
Yes.
you should receive a notification. It actually goes also into your inbox, so you can find that.
By default, every student will receive a notification every time a new comment is made on their paper. Some students have gone in and turned that off, but you can actually click on it from that email and we take us right to this page. But basically all you have to do is go in, just like in the gradebook, if you click on the actual title, it takes you to the assignment that you're looking for. The students click on that title and they're taken to this information page, and it'll show them wonderful information like, oh, that paper you turned in, you actually didn't turn it in. It's missing.
So, oh, yeah.
I looked away when you were showing how to get to that hide, where you can hide.
Yeah. Couple different ways. So you can do that right within the grade book without having to go into SpeedGrader. I did it in SpeedGrader on the top left. Yep. If you want to do it right within the grade book, then you have the option here, these 3 little dots that pop up when you hover an assignment. When you click on that, you have the option to hide grades, and it'll give you that same notice. And you say, yep, I want to hide those grades, and they're hidden. I cannot, this is an, they've kind of changed that hidden feature. I cannot for the life of me figure out why.
To make it more intuitive, it's now called grading policy.
Grading policy.
So if you do the ... at the very bottom, or grading posting policy, because it's intuitive.
Yep. There
I
we
kind
go.
of laugh.
That's what it was. Okay. Yeah.
I'm wondering if you could take out the percentage column, because some of the assignments, they, some students are eligible, I mean, they're graded out of a higher score than some other students because they partition them into presenters and discussing. So,
Oh boy.
yeah.
The point value. Yeah, we might talk about that afterwards, but the short answer, the point value is the same for all students, but we can kind of talk about.
If you have some students who are
Ideally, what you would probably want to do is set it up as, I'm trying to think of the use case. The major use case that I've seen with that is when you have graduate students working in the same course as undergraduate students. And so then you can say the one section, I'm going to give this assignment here that's worth this many points. And then undergraduate, it's going to be worth less points. And you're going to create 2 separate assignments and assign them to each person. In this scenario, it sounds like what you're wanting to do is create a different group assignment for each person and assign it individually to them. You might be better off just creating an assignment with different rubrics, categories, but the point totals are the same, but you're evaluating them on different terms. But that's definitely one of those things to where we would want to take a look at the assignment and see how everything is scaled out, because it's getting a little complicated.
It's a discussion board,
Yeah.
and it's more the students over. It's a discussion.
Mhm.
If you have a question.
Yeah.
Do you know what I would do is create groups. The students who are the leaders are in their own group. The students who are not are in a different group. And when you assign this, so when I assign it to someone else, you, hold on. Actually, no, I'm not sure. I might have to play around with that. Take out, sorry, take out which?
The column with the percentage, it says total.
I don't know that you can hide.
If we could do that, that would just simplify it.
So you're talking about on the far right side? That is, you can't take that one out. You can't actually take out any of the columns. You can sort differently, but you can't take out different columns. The grade book kind of is what it is.
You can't hide a column, right?
I don't know if you can add a column.
No, I mean hide.
Oh. I don't,
Nope, looks like they took that away.
yeah. We cannot, but we can talk later if you'd like about the situation. Yeah, question.
So going back to the comment section, I find it difficult when I'm commenting on a person's submission, like a Word document, that I can't tell what the comment says. itself, but not with my comments I make to.
So from what I'm understanding, read the question is that when you're making inline comments with SpeedGrader, that when you download them, you're downloading the original comment, not that. If you actually go to SpeedGrader, there's 2 download buttons, which is, again, confusing. But if you go into where you're viewing the comments inside of that text editor, there's a download button there that will download it with comments. But if you go to the side where it just shows your document, it won't.
Yeah. Yes.
So it just depends on which button you're clicking. And if you need more help, you can email me and I can send you the guide that shows you, here's where you can download an inline comment from SpeedGrader with comments.
Yeah, there are both options there. And you're talking about as a student, it's hard to download the comments or
As
the.
a team. So my faculty is commenting on students.
Gotcha.
On my side, I have to screenshot comments and download itself the documents because I can't download comments.
You should be able, but you can be in SpeedGrader though, right?
Yeah,
so
you have
in
access.
SpeedGrader, so when you have multiple teachers, TAs in a class who are doing grading, multiple graders, I should say, you'll be able to see who has made a comment. So when you go into a submission, you'll be able to see that your instructor has made a comment there, and then you yourself have the option to also add a comment. Does that make it easier? Because you can see.
Go to a document that's in SpeedGrader. One that hopefully there. Okay. So you see this download button on the very top window of the corner. So see these inline comments, this line that's been striked out, and there's this comment here. If you hit this download button here, it'll download all these comments. And as a TA, you can do comments within SpeedGrader here, just like the faculty. And it'll say, so-and-so made this comment, so-and-so made this comment. But if you go over here where it's right next to the turn in score, if you were to click this spot here, it'll just be the original student document that was turned in that you're downloading.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, you can, this is the top left, download an annotated PDF, and that is the annotations that's in this document. As far as I can tell, I don't know that you can download these overall comments that are made in the SpeedGrader, but you as a TA or a teacher can see what other graders have done. So you can see right now, like you'll be able, like I can see the comment that was made. So you'll be able to see that.
I would encourage that all of the comments that you're wanting to be done through SpeedGrader, so it's all in one spot. Because even though you can put comments on the rubric, you can put comments on the assignment, you can put comments everywhere, you want to put it in the same consistent place just so that everyone's going to the same spot versus going like, well, I want to go over here today. No, I want to go over here. And it just gets really confusing.
Does everyone want to see announcements? It's just really quick how to make an announcement. Our people will be making announcements maybe in their class. So you just wait from SpeedGrader to get back to where you're going. I'm going to the top and clicking on the assignment or the grade book, one of those two, and you'll get sucked back into Canvas. So announcements is on your navigation here on the left-hand side. And you'll be able to make an announcement. That's on the top right-hand side where I have the gold button there to add an announcement. And you see your very familiar, okay, we have a title for our announcement. You have your box, rich text editor box. You can attach a file. A couple of things that I like to use, delay posting. I can delay my announcement to happen at a different date. Maybe I just want it to pop up Monday morning. You can allow users to make comments on your announcements, or you can disallow it. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's sort of just how much attention are you going to pay to that announcement. If someone makes comments and you might miss it, then you might not allow it, and then they're sort of forced to contact you through a different method. And allow liking, different things like that. So announcements are pretty easy. Definitely the delayed posting is pretty good feature to use. And then your inbox.
What's great about announcements while you get to inbox is by sending an announcement in Canvas, students are receiving a notification, and when they go to the dashboard, they get a notification saying you have a new announcement. If you send someone an email, it's easy to say, well, I never got it. In this situation with announcements, you know that they are seeing it if they're going to log into the course. If they're not logging into the course, that's their own responsibility. And so it's always better if you're sending messages to use inbox and announcements because it's trackable and there's a database saying, yes, it was sent. Email might not necessarily be tracked. And so it's easier just to use the intern Canvas or use announcements inside of Canvas so that you know they're always receiving it unless they choose not to read it.
So in your Canvas inbox, which is hopefully familiar to you as a student, as a teacher, you can send your composed top middle-ish right-hand side. You can select your course that you're teaching and send it to all of those students. And the one thing to just know about Canvas inboxing, it doesn't save drafts like, say, your Gmail or your Outlook. I have run into some frustrations myself with that. That the computer loses power, shuts down, and I lost my message I was typing. So you may want to type it maybe somewhere else and then put it into your Canvas inbox. It also doesn't have all of those rich text features that we've been using all throughout Canvas, and now we get into the inbox and I can't bold, underline, hyperlink, anything like that. I can attach files and that's about it. So that's another thing to note too, just as you're typing using the Canvas inbox, just limitations to be aware of, I should say. No, go for it.
The calendar, so my class, we have a Zoom every week.
Okay.
It's populated the wrong time. We as a group decided different times. So is there a way to do all of it or usually? Because we're going to edit all of them.
If I think I'm understanding correctly, did you make a recurring? I would think you can just delete that series. Let's look at it. I think we can sit down and look at it afterwards because I'm not entirely sure deleting a series versus if you can do an individual one.
And for those online, he was asking a question about changing or modifying a reoccurring event in the calendar. For that is a feature that if you want to, you can go ahead and set events within Canvas and you can edit those. So that's what his question was there. Really, I think as Sarah was saying, the best way to do that is just kind of delete or restart or actually send out an announcement that says that. But then again, having it in the calendar is a good thing because students can see it and they can sync it with their own personal calendar. So.
One thing I wanted to point out in your Canvas inbox, when we were talking about submission comments, you can, in your drop down here on the top, you have the option to view all of your submission comments. It's just going to filter. So you get a notification when someone has sent you a submission comment. That's in that speed grader box that or in that grade when we're looking at what the student sees, and they can put in a comment there back to you. So you'll see that pop up in your Canvas inbox. Depending on how you have your notifications set up, you'll also get an email with that as well. But you can always go back here and see all of your submission comments that students have made. And I think that you can reply. Yeah. So let's see.
Let's do one last thing to be respectful. We will be doing some more stuff, or I'll be doing some more stuff after 6:30. So feel free to stick around if you want. There will be a recording of this video, so if you want to look back at it later, we'll send out a follow-up email and say, hey, here's the access to the recording. But we definitely want to not keep you back if you have to go.
Are you?
I was going to do help.
Oh, the help. Yes. Yes. We all want to know how to get help, right? So in Canvas, this is your Canvas notifications. That's your black bar over here on the very left-hand side. You have a button that says help. Amongst all of these options, the best ones to pay attention to as a TA, as a teacher, you want to contact the Canvas support for faculty. So you have a support hotline with their phone number. You can chat with Canvas. That is probably my absolute favorite. They respond super quick. And it's very, very quick. I do it all the time for little tiny things. And it's 24/7. You can search the guides. Sorry, I'm going in upwards order here. Searching the guides, I'm gonna open that in a new tab here. That is where you can, let's see, I'm gonna go to guides right here. And I can search for things, or I can also go to, I'm gonna click on instructor guides, and that gives me a list of topics that I can drill down into if I just wanna find out more about, using the gradebook or doing groups or things like that. So 24/7 support, that's your kind of number one first option for Canvas support, is with Canvas themselves. And then if you need to contact our office, that would be more for issues like you're a TA for a course, but it's not showing up in your dashboard, more enrollment issues, things like that. You can contact us at CU Online. That's the phone number down here. You can also, our email is not on here. We have stickers out here too with all this information. I even have, if I could show you my computer right now, I have a sticker with all this information on my computer. So I'm working, shoot, I need to call Canvas, number's right here. So feel free to grab a sticker and keep it with you all the time. Yep.
If you're chatting or on the phone, can they have the option of like dialing into your computer that they can see?
So remote desktop, they can do some remote desktop support where they can send you a link. I believe they use they use Vanguard. It's something they probably won't do automatically. Typically what happens when you call Canvas support, they'll ask you your information, who you are, what course you're talking to. They'll pull up the course on their end, and they'll see the same thing you're seeing and walk you through that. They try not to do remote desktop for privacy and security reasons, but that is an option that they do have.
I think if you call our office as well, they do have the option to view your course as well. I think maybe remote desktop and view your course.
They actually do now.
Oh, there you go. May use Zoom.
Yes, with Zoom, you can view someone and then also request access. So if I wanted to in there, I could actually remote control Sarah's computer right now and take over. So Zoom is actually a really powerful and cool tool that we have available. We want to be respectful of everyone's time, so feel free if you want to leave or need to leave, feel free to go through. For those sticking around, I'm going to be covering how to set up groups, go over a little bit of peer review, then go over how you can do multimedia in course in as short amount of time, just to give you a brief introduction to it. So feel free to leave if you need to, otherwise I'm just going to go ahead and talk. I'm not going to be distracted if you have to leave. I'll be happy to go through this. I am just going to have Sarah stop sharing. So to create GroupWorks, what's important to know about GroupWorks is a multiple step process of you first have to create a group, or as Canvas likes to call them, group sets. And this is going to be how you want to label and title each of your individual groups. And then you want to actually create the groups themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real fast. Here we go. And now let's log into a Canvas course real fast. So the first thing I want to do when creating a group is I want to navigate to the course that I'm wanting to go to. So I'm going to go to my demo course. And I want to select people. People is where you can find the list of everyone who's currently in your course. But then you also have the ability off to the side to create group sets. And that's this little button right here that says group set. As you'll see currently in this example course, I've already created several different groups. There's a simple one called group. There's a group demo, group project, and so on. And it allows me to view these different groups that you have. And you can create as many groups as you want. To create a group set, first you have to simply select group set and give it a name. I then have the ability to say, do I want to have this group self-sign up or do I want to have it to be automatically generated? My personal favorite is going ahead and auto-generate it, but I want to say, I want a total of 4 groups, and it's going to automatically add people to this group based off of 4 groups of my inventory. So I don't have to worry about adding students in and out, removing them. It does it all automatically by allowing you to do this. However, you can go down here and say, I want to create these groups manually. And then the next step is where you drag and drop your students into the course. So right now I've created a new group. It's going to automatically split students into 4 groups. And I'm going to go ahead and say save. It's going to randomly assign my students. Now if I look into my groups, I have my new group, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And currently I only have 4 students in this course. They all have their own individual groups, so they get a lot of space to themselves. However, if I decide, well, you know, I really don't like the way this is ordered, I want to move a student up here, I can do that. This is how you manually add them. Students that aren't in groups will actually be living right over here off to the side as unassigned students. So you just select the student you want and put them in the right group you want, or it can be done automatically, which is what I prefer. So in a group assignments, the very first step that you have to do is create the groups and place the students into the groups. Now that I have these selected, I'm going to go back to one of my assignments and I'm going to make it a group assignment. I have a paper right here for my first assignment. I'm going to go to edit. And then when I go down here into assign or group assignment, I can select this group assignment. In this example, because students have already submitted assignments, I cannot make it a group assignment. All you have to do is select group assignment. So let's actually do a real example and define which group set it's going to be. And so now here's my test. Go to edit. It's a group assignment. I'm going to set the group set to my new group. And I've just made this be a group assignment. All I have to do is save it, and these groups will be assigned to everyone based off of their group assignments. Now, the next question I got in there was, well, how do you go through and make a peer-reviewed document? Now, you do have the ability within peer review or in the assignment box to select the peer review. My actual recommendation is to not use this tool, because even if I do peer review, it really wants to do it either automatically or manually assign, which then puts a lot of work on you. The way I recommend doing peer review is actually creating a discussion thread. Start out the initial prompt, have each student post their initial posts on there, and then say select 2 of the posts that have been done and review this document and post the post within inside this discussion thread. So I'm creating one place for the assignments to be posted, viewed, and then commented on in one spot. I feel like this feature is a lot better than using the assignment tool here. And so that's what I recommend if you want to do peer reviews, actually create a discussion board thread versus using this. If you want to find out more information on how peer assignment reviews works inside of Canvas, just contact me and I'll send you the Canvas guide on how this works, and it'll show you step-by-step how to do that. Now, the next thing I want to go through here to show is how to use multimedia in your course. Canvas is great for doing multimedia in a couple different ways. The very first way is you can actually use a built-in recorder inside of Canvas that will record your videos and post it straight onto Canvas. So in here, I've created a video assignment. I'm going to click Edit up here. And in my Visual Text Rich Text Editor right here, I have the ability to add more content. I'm going to put a little space here. And see where my cursor is marked? You need to make sure that your cursor is down so that you can mark the areas in which you're viewing the content. To record a short video clip, all I have to do is do the Record Upload Media button. It's important to point out here that if you're simply creating a file, let's say through PowerPoint or on your phone, and you have the MP4 file that you want to upload, you don't want to upload it as a file. You want to upload it right here using the Record and Upload Media. If I go ahead and just attach a file to this, you're going to run the risk of overfilling your course quota. However, if you use the Record and Upload Media, you don't run that risk. It stores it in a special area. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Record and Upload Media. Yes, I want to allow it. This tool currently uses Flash, so you want to make sure that you have Flash installed and that you have Flash enabled on your computer. I have Chrome, it's pre-installed, and I have to have it where it asks me ahead of time whether or not I want to record it. So now I can go over here, simply hit Start Record. It's going to give me a countdown, and I can record my video right here on the screen. When I'm done, all I have to do is select Finish. I have the option to review the video again. If I don't like the video, I just record it, I hit Start Over, and I can go through and change the name. I'm going to leave it as the default untitled and hit Save. It's going to take this video that I just recorded and place it on the timeline so that you can see it. And that's a quick way of recording video. You also have the ability to do what's called TechSmithRelay.com. This is our on-site video hosting service that we use, It also allows you to record your desktop and webcam to easily record videos and share them within Canvas. To access it, the best way is to go to ucdenver.techsmithrelay.com. So that's ucdenver.techsmithrelay.com, and press enter. You'll be taken to a page where it's going to ask you to log in. Unfortunately, this time right here, it's actually wanting me to log in again, but I can just show you this as an example. If I go to my library, hold on. Let me sign in one more time. There we go. And this is available to anyone that has a UC Denver account. So this means students, staff, and faculty all have the ability to log in to TechSmith Relay. Now this just has a lot of advanced features of organizing, and you can do some really cool quizzes, but I'm just going to show you how to record videos and share them. By logging into TechSmith Relay, I can see at the very top, Launch Recorder. I'm going to go ahead and select this. It's going to ask you to download a recorder, which is a third-party plugin from your browser. Since I've already have this installed, I don't need to download it using the download button. I can simply do Open TechSmith Relay Recorder. When it opens the recorder, it's going to ask me what area of the screen do I want to record, or I can simply say, no, I only want to record a region. I can also select a different microphone. So if I have an external microphone like I do right now, I can select the microphone, and I want to select my microphones that I'm using right now. So you can record different screens, different microphones, and you even have the ability to select the different webcam that you're using. When you have all the basic settings correct, all you have to do is hit record, and you're going to be taken to the screen here where you can record. You'll also have the ability again to change your microphone or webcam. Everything's looking good to me, so I'm going to go ahead and record. It's first going to start recording my webcam. So I can say, hi, welcome to my class. Today I'm going to be covering this. Now let's get in. If I hit this little webcam option right here, it actually turns my webcam off and shows my screen. So while I'm doing a video, I can actually toggle back and forth between me on the webcam or showing my desktop. When I'm done, all I have to do is hit pause. It's going to take me back to this main control screen where I'm going to go in there, and I can see right now that it's currently 21 seconds long. I can choose to stop or keep on recording, or even use a refresh here and start over from scratch. I'm going to hit stop. And now it's going to show me a preview of what my recording just was. I can choose again to say cancel, I don't like what I recorded, or I can go ahead and hit upload on this bottom corner, and this will upload the video to TechSmith Relay. Once it's uploaded, it's going to give me an option to change the file name, the location, all directly into TechSmith Relay's website. Here I go. I'm going to leave this as default and hit save. And so what I'm doing right here is I'm actually recording a video using a desktop recorder, using my built-in microphone, not downloading any files whatsoever. I'm simply uploading it straight to the server, and now the video is live where I can be viewable online. When I go back into Canvas, if I want to use this video, all I have to do, very similar before, like using upload media, place my cursor on the box. There's this little button here for more external tools, and I can see TechSmith Relay. When I select TechSmith Relay, it's going to look up my library because I'm logged in. I can find the video that I just uploaded right here and add the media to my timeline. So now with TechSmith Relay, I've shared the video online and placed it into my Canvas shell, and all I have to do is hit save. So this means that students, staff, and faculty can easily create videos without having to worry about video editing, downloading files, or so on. Everything is done through the inline video grader. Now let me check the chat box real fast. I can find where that screen is. Here we go. All right, so one of the questions I'm seeing on here is rubrics within Canvas. You can go through and add a rubric to almost any assignment. The way you do rubrics is I'm going to go to my module. I'm going to find an assignment that I'm wanting to work on. So I'm going to say, let's do my test assignment. When you first log in on this is where you see the basic information of the assignment. This is going to show you the basic details, how many points, the due dates, all the basic information. This also has the ability on here to rubric. This allows me to add rubric. All I have to do is select it. It's a point to point off here that only teachers and TAs have access. Students can't add their own rubric into their course. And I'm going to see an example rubric here. So, hey, here's a bank one here. Now, you can go on here and add as many criterion as you want, or I can add multiple ratings. So I'm going to say, yep, new criterion, mine. So it creates another line right here. Now let's say I want to have a different ratings here. I can add another one and 3. And I could even go through here and change the point values. So if I want the maximum point values for this criterion to be 10, the middle one 6 points, no marks, worth 0. And so I can go in and add this rubric here. Now, for instance, if I want to go find a rubric that's already been created in a course that I'm a teacher, all I have to do is click Find Rubric, locate the course I'm wanting to go into, select the rubric that I'm looking for, and it'll add that rubric right into your score. So again, this is where you can add rubrics into your course by a rubric that's already been created. There is no really easy way to import rubrics. You have to originally create it, but once you create it once, it can be placed onto any course. And also you notice over here off to the side, as you add more points over here, it automatically totals down here when you score it. When you go into grade these rubrics, so I'm going to go into grades. Let's go over here. Let's see if this one has a rubric attached to it, and it doesn't. I'm going to add a rubric real fast. So now I've added this rubric right here, and now I'm going to go in the speed grader. When I pull up the assignments, right off to the side on the speed grader, I have this view rubric option. It's currently graded out of 100, so if I click on view rubric, I can select which of these criterions matches the student work, and the score automatically will be populated. So I can see right here, by filling in the rubric, they've got a total of 15 out of 20. And that, in a nutshell, is rubrics. Let's check again on the chat. Now, when it comes to assignments, you do have the option for an external tool. The external tool that you're using is ultimately an LTI that you've chosen to use. The easiest example of this is TechSmith Relay has a built-in quizzing that you can use, and that's where you can watch a video. In the middle of the video, it'll stop and show you a quiz, and then this grade will automatically be imported into your gradebook. And so it uses an external tool to collect that score and place it into your gradebook as well. Another example on this is if you have a Pearson textbook, a lot of time it'll come with online Pearson or My Pearson tools. This will often come with quizzes that you can then have students take on the My Pearson website that'll automatically import into your classroom. So if you have an external tool that you want to use, it'll actually show you the directions on how to do it. We don't explain it a lot simply because you have to have that third-party tool that you're wanting to use, and so it's run on a case-by-case basis. But if you have more questions about external tools, simply email us. I'll be more than happy to help you. Leah, can you give me some more information what you mean by add ratings? Not quite sure which or what you're wanting to rate. Honestly, it sounds like you don't want to add. So if you're in rubrics, let me pull up that assignment up again. So my first assignment, ratings. I am not. Oh, ratings right here is simply the terminology that it uses for each of the points. And so that's if you want to have essentially a rubric that says they completed the task or they didn't complete the task. It's just using a generic term of rating. So for instance, for this, to get full marks on this, the student has to complete the detailed understanding of the article, or at the very bottom, the student's understanding the article is incomplete and unsatisfied. And so that's what it just means by rating. That's just a way to evaluate your students' work and let them clearly understand what their work was doing. All right. Well, I'm going to stick around in the chat room a little bit more. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in. Otherwise, I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. And as all, if you have any questions,